Hey guys, I'm back here again with yet another character review video. Like I mentioned in my last video, this time my friend and I are doing Minnie Mouse from the Mickey and Friends franchise and Scamp from Lady and the Tramp 2. And I'm here today to do my Scamp review. He did his mini review yesterday, I did my mini review the day before that, and he did his Scamp review the day before that, so I'm here today to do my Scamp review. And like I mentioned in my last video, in case you haven't seen it, Scamp is his second favorite animated hero, and Minnie is my favorite animated heroine, so they're two of our favorite fictional characters. Anyway, let's get started. I hadn't seen Lady and the Tramp 2 in a long time. I just finished watching it for the first time in years today. And it was actually better than I remembered it. Something I thought I should mention. Apparently it's considered one of the best Disney sequels. Second best to The Lion King 2 of the direct-to-video Disney sequels, not the theatrical ones, of course. But having said that, it does get some complaints, and the complaints usually revolve around the main character, Scamp. Some of them I can understand to an extent, but I don't think that I don't think that he's a character that you should hate by any means. I don't think that he's a character worthy of hate or of the amount of complaints that he gets. Anyway, the complaints usually are he's spoiled, he's ungrateful, he tries too hard to be cool, he's annoying, he's stupid, he's immature, reckless, and irresponsible, he wants to leave his nice home and become a hobo, he betrays his father and chooses Buster, he bluntly reveals Angel's secret, his development wasn't done well, and, of course, he's a sequel character. Okay, starting with he's spoiled. Well, he may be a little spoiled. He's arguably a little spoiled. I wouldn't say that it's to the point that he's an unlikable character, like, as I've mentioned before, the characters in Jessie. Yes, I know, I've mentioned them before. To me, in order for a character to be spoiled rotten to the point where they're unlikable, they pretty much need to care about nothing but material objects, look down on people who are beneath them, or they, or like my friend said, they need to have no development and not realize that they were in the wrong. So yeah, while he's arguably a little bit spoiled, even though since he does have a nice place to live, and is very privileged, and isn't satisfied with that. He's arguably a little bit spoiled. He's nothing compared to some of the spoiled brats I've seen. I know that I've mentioned the Jessie kids before. Look at, like, Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. She doesn't give a frick about anybody but herself. And getting what she wants. And she's intended to be a very unlikable character. To me, she's much more of a spoiled brat than Scamp is. Okay. He's ungrateful. Again, while he's arguably somewhat ungrateful, it's not to the point where I think he's unlikable. To me, it seems more like he's unsatisfied with his life and wants more. Name a recent Disney hero or heroine that wasn't like that. I mean, look at Belle. She was unhappy with her life in the small town and wanted more. Look at Jasmine. She was privileged and pampered in the palace, and she wasn't happy with it. You know, now look at Mulan, Ariel. You know, I mean, seriously, name a recent Disney hero or heroine that was completely satisfied with their life and didn't want more. To me, that's more along the line of how Scamp was. Besides, instead of being completely ungrateful to his family, more of a average, modern Disney hero rather than just completely ungrateful. I mean, if you think he's ungrateful, then you think that most Disney heroes and heroines are. Okay. He tries too hard to be cool. What kid doesn't? I know my friend said that it's mostly little boys that try hard to be cool, but speaking as a as a girl who went through a tomboy phase, believe me, I tried hard to be tough and cool also. I was always going around with a backwards ball cap and sunglasses, trying to look as tough as I could, and again, looking back at the pictures of me when I did that, I looked like a total dork. Sorry, I just had to laugh at that. And I'm sure that I annoyed the heck out of a lot of teenagers that I was trying to show off to. I always wanted to show the teenage boys that I was just as tough as they were, even though I was even though I was a little girl. Uh, so yeah, I mean, while he arguably tries too hard to be cool, to me that sounds more like you have a problem with kids in general, rather than just Scamp's character. Because, most kids try too hard to be cool at some point, and to me, it's always come across more as cute than annoying. So if you find a child trying too hard to be cool, as annoying, then you've got a problem with kids. He's annoying. Annoying is in the eye of the beholder. I never saw him as all that annoying. He does have some moments that are arguably annoying, like wrecking his family's picnic, trashing the house, that sort of thing. But what character doesn't have some annoying moments? I mean, I honestly can't think of any that don't have a few annoying moments. I mean, to me, disliking a character because they have a few moments that you find annoying is really kind of a weak reason to dislike them. Because even characters that I absolutely love, like Scrooge and Minnie and Webby, they have some moments that I find annoying. But obviously that doesn't keep me from loving them. And, I mean, you also have to take into account why Scamp behaves in an annoying way. Like my friend said, I mean, he's a child. He doesn't have in dog years, he's like a 12-year-old child, and he doesn't have a good relationship with either of his parents. So, while I'm not trying to justify his actions, there's certainly a reason behind his annoying moments. He's stupid. like I said in my Ariel video, in my Melody video, in my Jane video, and in my Webby video, he's a young character and an immature character. And he's very ignorant. And there's a difference between being young, immature, and ignorant and being stupid. And there's also a difference between a character making stupid decisions and being stupid. And actually being stupid. While he does make some decisions that aren't very bright, like running away from home, and joining the gang, getting mixed up with dogs that are complete strangers that he doesn't know anything about, he was young and ignorant. And what child does not make stupid decisions? Sorry. Yes, while he does make some decisions that are arguably stupid, that does not make him a stupid character. And if you're going to dislike a character because they make arguably stupid decisions, then you might as well dislike every character on the face of the planet. I don't know what else to tell you besides that. I mean, the only characters that I can think of off the top of my head that don't make arguably stupid decisions are, like, Snow White's prince. He was hardly in the movie. Ugh. Oh, Lola Bunny, who barely got any screen time. I mean, I can't think of any more. Okay. He's immature and reckless. Yes, he is. What child isn't? And if you're going to dislike a child character because they're immature and reckless, then you might as well dislike all child characters. Okay. Yes, he's immature, reckless, and irresponsible, but you have to take into consideration that, like I just mentioned, he's a child, for one thing, and he's lived a very pampered life where he didn't have any knowledge of what the world outside of his home was. So he was very ignorant of how harsh the real world was. And, of course, Tramp keeping the secret that he was a stray dog didn't help matters. But what? Yeah, while he is immature and reckless and irresponsible, those are his flaws that make him human. Yes, I know he's a dog, but human-like and relatable. So, what do you expect? That a character is going to be flawless and perfect because and a Mary Sue, because whenever that happens, I hear you complaining about that. Anyway, he wants to leave his nice home and become a hobo. Mm. Okay, well, answer me this. Which one of you, as a child, didn't want to run away from home? Anybody? Because I know when I was a child, every time I would get in an argument with my parents about something, I would try to run away from home. To me, I always saw him wanting to leave his home more as the typical child getting in a fight with their parents and wanting to run away from home, not them, not him being ungrateful for his nice home and wanting to become a hobo. Because honestly, he has no idea what the junkyard dogs are like. He thinks that it's basically all freedom, flowers and sunshine, and that sort of thing. He doesn't know what it's like. Think of it as like Princess Jasmine wanting to run away from the palace that she sees as a prison and wanting to become a street rat. She's lived in a pampered palace her whole life, and she doesn't know how dark and cruel the streets of Agrabah are. So she sees it as being much better than the palace where she lives. I mean, does that make any sense? Okay. He betrays his father and chooses Buster. Okay. While I do personally like Tramp as a character, he's actually probably one of my favorite Disney heroes. I admit that it was a stupid decision of Tramp to keep it a secret from his son that he had been a stray dog. I kind of chalk that up to it being a poorly written plot device, kind of like Ariel and Eric keeping Melody's mermaid heritage secret from her. But anyway, you have to take into consideration that Scamp just found out that Scamp has just found out that his dad has been lying to him his entire life. And it still really miffed at him about it. And is kind of caught in a whirlwind, is kind of caught between making a really hard choice. It's caught between making a really hard choice. Something that he's wanted his entire life, and choosing between, and choosing to go back with somebody that he just found out was lying to him, to a place that he doesn't really like that much. And you also have to take into consideration that back there, he doesn't really have any friends to speak of. Like I said, he doesn't have a great relationship with his dad. Like, we don't know much about his relationship with his mom, and definitely not with his sisters. The baby is probably his closest friend. So while choosing Buster probably wasn't the wisest decision, it's understandable why he chose him. It was a very rash decision, and an impulse decision. But it's understandable, since it was a choice between going back to a place that you don't like, with someone who you just found out was lying to you your whole life, and going to a new life that you've always dreamed of having. Okay. I mean, like I said, I personally always liked Tramp, and while I do think that wasn't the greatest move on his part, I kind of chalk it up to being like the part in Little Mermaid 2 where Ariel keeps the secret from Melody, and then Melody chooses to go with Morgana over Ariel. Okay, moving on. He bluntly reveals Angel's secret. Okay, this part I can kind of understand. I think it could have been handled better. But, having said that, choosing to dislike a character because of poor writing, and is kind of a weak reason to do that. I think it could have been handled better. I probably wouldn't have made him shouted at Buster like that. But, I mean, you can tell after he does that he's genuinely sorry about it. So, if you're gonna dislike Scamp strictly because of that moment, that's a pretty weak reason. His development wasn't done well. Certainly not the best development, but not the worst either. I mean, you can definitely tell through the movie that that he's changing and maturing, and then finally, when he gets sent to the pound, he realizes that his dad was right about Buster and everything. I mean, it's not like some characters that I've seen. I know I've mentioned Naveen before. It's not like some characters that I've seen were just boom out of nowhere. They change without showing any sign of maturity. So while I wouldn't call it the best, I wouldn't call it the worst either. I'd say it's moderately good. And again, choosing to dislike a character just because their development wasn't superb is a pretty weak reason also. And finally, he's a sequel character. So what? Okay, I've already been over this with Jane and Melody, so I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but why do you care that he's a sequel character? Again, even if, while I personally like the movie, I think it's a pretty good movie, even if you dislike his movie, why does that mean you should dislike him as a character? There are plenty of movies and TV shows that I dislike, but I don't dislike the characters from them. I mean, if you're going to dislike a character strictly because they're a sequel character, that's got to be one of the weakest reasons I've ever heard. I'd say it's third only to, fourth only to disliking Minnie because her relationship with Scrooge is inappropriate, since no one of different genders, different ages, and different social classes can be friends without something inappropriate going on. And disliking Scrooge because he's sexist and racist, being a rich white male duck, and then disliking Jack Frost because he's too handsome and sexy because the girls seem to swoon over him. I'd say that it's fourth only to those three reasons. Anyway, that's about all I have to say. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the movie was better than I remembered it being. I think that Scamp is a pretty good character. One of the better sequel characters that I've seen. A very complex character. And, I can definitely see why he has his fans. The link to my friend's two videos, and my first video will be in the description box below. I encourage you to watch all three of those. Please like and subscribe. Thanks, bye, and see you next time.